Well, I'm down here, it's putting out cameras. I was a major non-advocate of putting cameras in heavily pressured areas at hunting locations because you had to intrude the location to pull your SD card. And now I've got cell cameras. I've been using these for 3 years. We use them in Kansas, and I feel comfortable using them here now. So I'm in full scent lock, and I'm going to go in and hang several cameras. But anyway, I got 3 cameras. These are all oak locations next to swamps and in swamps. So it's all in heavy security cover where they feel comfortable coming in during daylight hours. Again, this is not TV fantasy zoo type properties or ultra managed properties like a lot of the whole high profile guys that shoot 180, 200 inches every year shoot. You have to actually work to kill deer in pressured areas. You have to know what the hell you're doing. I say that because it's a fact. I've got a stick. I still don't like putting my cameras at eye level, so I like putting my cameras up high enough and shining them down on whatever the destination area has to offer. If it's an oak, it's going to be under the tree so I can see them coming in seeing acorns, or if it's a transition route or a funnel, I'm going to put it through the main runways on that transition route, try to catch something coming through, and it's all going to be security cover oriented. So I've got a 2-step, a 1-stick here with a 2-step aider on it, so I can get up high enough to get these up out of a deer's peripheral vision if they're at a destination location eating acorns. And I'm not so worried about does and subordinate bucks. You know, that's a whole nother level of deer. You know, it cracks me up. Hunters talk about, well, when I say something about you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. Well, I've had deer do this, and I've had deer come into that, and you know that's not true. Well, I'm not hunting subordinate deer. I'm not hunting does. Does and subordinate bucks, 1.5 and even 2.5, will do things 3.5 and 4.5-year-olds in pressured areas just do not do with any consistency. Obviously, I'm generally speaking, anything can happen from time to time, but I go on percentages, and percentage-wise, mature bucks don't act like 1.5 and 2.5-year-old bucks in pressured areas, and they don't act like mature does. Now, when you watch TV, yeah, the big-ass bucks come out into areas the same little bucks come out to because they're stupid and they've never been shot at before until they hit the kill criteria. So, of course, they haven't had any consequences for their actions in previous seasons growing up, so they're going to continue coming out into those open areas and doing the dumb things that the young bucks do. But in pressured areas, most of the mature bucks that are 3.5 years and older, they've been shot at before, and more than likely they carry old wounds. I've given the stats on that. You know, all of my out-of-state bucks never had a touch. None of them ever had a wound I found on them. Way over 3/4 of the bucks I've shot in Michigan that make book have had previous wounds, some as many as 4 wounds on them and projectiles in their physical bodies. So I know what I'm talking about. I've hunted both types of areas. So, you know, if you're just trying to kill a 1.5-year-old buck, which is fine, I don't care, that's wonderful. If that's what turns you on, that's great. You should be able to shoot whatever you want, or a doe, whatever. But if you're trying to kill mature bucks, you have to do things different. You have to throw all that stuff you did to kill 1.5 and 2.5-year-old bucks away in a pressured, if you're hunting in a pressured area, because that just doesn't work with any consistency whatsoever. You have to be more detail oriented. You have to do things correctly. And if you don't, you may slop one in every 15 years, 10 or 15 years, but you're not going to do it consistently. And that's what this is all about. Trying to get people to consistently, you know, every other year, you know, some years you might kill 2 mature bucks like I did last year. If you do things detail oriented, keep your scent down, you know, try to be as scent free as possible. And again, DEERJOHN51@gmail.com. If you want my scent control regiment documents, I'd be more than happy to send them to you. I've sent out over 3,000 of them in the last 1.5 years. And it will basically, if you do it properly, it will make you totally negate wind direction. Wind direction will be a non-factor when you're hunting. And it sounds like a lot of work, but it's not. Once you get the process down of preparing your clothing, once you stop your vehicle to go hunting, you're out of the vehicle in 3 minutes, 4 minutes with your scent lock on. And it's not something that takes a lot of time to do during the physical hunt. All the time to prepare and care for your scent lock clothing is done as a preparation prior to the hunt. once the hunt starts, you just open up the totes, put it on, and go hunt. Here's the differences between a camera with a peg post going straight to the tree. It's painted kind of a grayish OD green, versus a camera using a black or a dark green strap around a tree. That's a pretty healthy visual difference right there, and depending on the type of area you hunt, something that simple can make a difference, especially if it's at eye level for a deer, where it's in their peripheral vision when they're walking through the woods. I know 2 other hunters that have had it happen where they put out cameras and a big buck was coming down a runway to the tree during season and saw the actual straps on the camera, black straps, and turned around and left. One of the guys it happened in Kansas on a 160 incher. Coming down a runway, saw that black strap, looked at that strap for about 5 seconds, turned around, just casually walked back away. And he was about 50 yards away when he saw it, and turned around and just left. The only reason it was for him to leave, and that was in Kansas, where that kind of stuff is usually acceptable to deer. Something as minimal in detail as this, having a black strap around a tree, can potentially cause a deer, a mature buck, with some senses, to turn around and leave. Where you hunt makes a difference. In pressured areas, Kansas is definitely not pressured where that happened to that guy. I know where he was hunting, but even a mature buck out there noticed that and left. And minor details like that make a difference. So if you have to use straps because you're on public, try to use straps that are a light green, or else put the cameras up high enough. Use a stick with a couple aiders and get those cameras up there about 12 to 15 feet up off the ground, and that way they're out of their peripheral vision. You know, it's kind of like walking out in the woods and putting out a ladder stand. You know, I can't even fathom hunting out of ladder stands because they're usually black and it's such a big visual. And you know, I've hunted on public land, and many times when I've had ladder stands within visual sight of me at 70, 80 yards away and nobody was in them, but I watched deer actually react to those ladder stands. Even though they were empty, I could see deer walking in that direction and look at the ladder, and their eye focus would go right up to the top to see if anybody was sitting in it. So it's a visual that's not normal to them, and because it's black and everything else in the woods is gray and light greens, for them to notice that and follow it up to the top. And black straps on cameras are not cool either. All those little details add up to a lot of missed opportunities in a career of bow hunting. The less intrusive you are, the more opportunities you'll end up having. Maybe minimal, but in the long run, I think it matters. But that's just my opinion. These are the camera mounts I'm using. They're made by Cranford. The black one for the actual camera itself, which is the bottom one, is just called a T camera mount. It's got a ball on it, ball swivel. You can turn the dial around. You can move that thing any direction you want. And then the one above it is a 7-inch, it's called a second ops camera mount. And that's what we're using for the solar panels, because the solar panels are pretty wide and that gets it far enough away from the tree. Solar panels are awesome because it doesn't use any of the battery power in your camera. All the pictures are taken from the actual solar panel. Solar panels are really nice. And this is an Exodus cell camera. I love the color of them. They blend in with the bark. I should have painted the back side of that solar panel, but I didn't. I will do that for next year, but I got it high enough. I'm not too concerned about it. It's definitely up out of their peripheral vision. And the cell cameras are nice because you don't have to come and visit. I will not be back here until I am actually hunting. This sends pictures to my phone and computer, and that's why I didn't use cameras in the past at my hunting locations. This is a hunting location, is because with cameras where you have to physically check cards, the intrusions in pressured areas are definitely negative to a kill. And those aiders blend in so well with that tree, you can't even see them. So for hunting, I had camouflage aiders that blend in with the bark of the tree, and they're very difficult to see. and then I painted the stick, and that's hard to see as well. In fact, from the camera when we did it at a distance, you couldn't even hardly see that stick. These Tethrd One sticks are absolutely incredibly awesome. Hands down the best and lightest sticks on the market. You can barely see that thing against that tree. Those colors are absolutely perfect. Damn, I got lucky. Go up the tree. And there's the camera. Great cameras. Tried others. Had companies send me cameras. Didn't care for them a lot. Joe is okay with them because he's a little more tech oriented, but these are just super simple for anybody to use. And you can put 10, 15 cameras on one app, 500 miles apart. I can have one in Kansas, I can have one in Hawaii, I can have one in Alaska. As long as they're cell service, they'll all come to the same app. And they are mounted with Cranford T camera mounts on the camera and 7-inch second ops camera mount on the solar panel. Also, as far as carrying a stick around with a double aider to get up a tree to hook up your camera, that's how I do it. I just wrap those aiders around the stick and then put some of those stretch cords on them. The camo fabric that Noah, the Amish guy, that I have all my modifications done by, he did a great job on that camo and those aiders. Got a double strap where it actually hooks to the actual stick to make sure it doesn't fray through. That's not just a single piece of nylon. It's doubled where it's wrapped around the metal.